Hello, everybody. Welcome to Echoed Influence. I am Anthony Spartacus Tamayo, and I'm here as always with Modest Better Yourself. April Rodriguez, how are you?
Good.
And this is our Season 2, Episode 6, A Tribute to Stanley. But before we get into that, AP, tell the fans what we've been up to.
So we've been gone a while. It's been a couple weeks since we've talked to you guys, but it has been a crazy couple of weeks for us, definitely. We did not know October would be like this.
It's just the one of 3 months that are going to be that were really hectic, you know?
So immediately after we left you guys on the last episode, we had Ghoul Folk. So, it was rush. As soon as we got off the air, we were trying to put everything together, and man, it was such a beautiful event.
Yes, what an awesome event. I mean, if you guys missed it, I dressed up as the Crow and AP in her skeleton suit. We had an amazing, performance by Nina Rose and Kai Hills
and Sabrina Chacon.
Yeah, they were all
cool
amazing.
They were in the glass window, so they looked like they were
being seen and heard and everything. It was on display. It was awesome.
It was really cool. It was a really nice event. We had a lot of artists there. We had tarot readers there.
We had a face painter there, like a professional face painter. She did my crow paintings and like a lot of the kids stuff. You know, I really submerged myself in the holiday right then. And I sold a few paintings and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a really nice.
And we had a lot of fun with that dry ice, huh?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, we had the skeletons up that I made. It was a beautiful.
Super
event.
festive, yeah. Like really a lot of like good energy around there. And then we followed it up with an awesome time at Comic-Con.
Yes, that whole week before we were just trying to get our outfits ready, trying to prepare, and trying to rest from that crazy week we had.
Yes, and it was hard. It was up and down week, but like I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I mean, I loved like going to Comic-Con. I was dressed as Bucky undercover, you know, the first day. And AP was wearing her Captain America shirt, and she brought her shield. It was really cool. We were comfortable. And
we got to do all of our purchasing on that day too, because it was empty.
Yes.
There weren't that many people there.
And I guess that's the beauty of buying the 3-day pass. You know, like you get to show up on any day you choose. We showed up 2 out of the 3, and we saw a lot of cool costumes. A lot of people took pictures with us.
Yeah, that was so nice.
The nice one was when the little kid asked me, because we both had like long hair, and I was Bucky, and this was on Saturday, the Saturday where we totally went all out and dressed up. Like I had a Bucky arm and everything. If you guys haven't seen it, check out our webpage on Instagram. You'll see all of it there. We had a blast.
Yeah, there was so many artists there.
Yes.
I got a lot of really cool stuff, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes, all our collections. Yes, we got a lot of good books and stuff from like who should be famous people.
we talked to so many different people, and it was. Yeah, we'll tell you everything we bought in a minute. But after that, it wasn't like it stopped for us either, because once that was over, the next 2 days was Halloween. And
Halloween, we were able to stay in the spirit for at least a good solid week.
Oh yeah,
maybe even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had to dress up, we had to entertain, and then again, like once Halloween came around, man, like we had to take care of my nephew for a little bit, you know, before him going out to trick-or-treating, passing out candy,
helping put the decorations up, getting everything ready for the day. And then of course Halloween, so much fun seeing all the kids dressed up.
Yes, you see how creative they can be and everything. Like not one kid, I think maybe 2 kids showed up without costumes. And those are like the gems of the fucking group. Like they just want the candy. And
then after that, we had the Dia de los Muertos festival at Steam Academy.
God, yes, the ofrenda, you guys.
So we spent we had just so much going on, and we had this idea to make an Avengers Infinity War inspired ofrenda.
Yes, it's to everybody who died in the battle against Thanos. Like not everybody, but a select few that we were able to make. You know, off the top of my head, we got Loki, Black Panther, Bucky, Scarlet Witch,
and Vision, Doctor Strange, Groot, and Spider-Man.
Yeah, we had a really good bunch right there, and then we had like little offerings, sugar skulls that represented
that
them.
we made from
scratch.
scratch.
Yes. AP made these amazing voodoo dolls. Oh my god! If you guys ever want one too, like I said, they're on our webpage. Feel free to hit us, reach out to us if you want to ever purchase them.
Yeah,
they are for sale.
We spent the whole week. Anthony made all the paintings. I made the sugar skulls and the voodoo dolls, and we made the little necklace for Black Panther. Oh
yeah, and don't forget these paintings are fluorescent too, guys.
Yes.
This whole thing popped, and again, go on our webpage, you'll be able to see it there too.
And so we spent a lot of time creating that, and it went really well. The Dia de los Muertos festival was really cool. We met a lot of great people. We got to be part of the community and talk to people, and it was a really nice
all the
event.
kids loved it. Real quick, there was this little girl who showed up and was very upset that there was nothing but Marvel stuff up there, and we told her it was, you know, for the battle and everything. I was like, I have a few DC characters, and she expanded on like how DC is darker, and you know what? Now that I have this time, I gotta ask, like, what makes DC darker? Like, there is nothing but actual lighting that makes the scenes a little darker, but it's not darker in the sense that the DC is scarier. If you really believe that, then you're not reading Marvel comics. You're simply just siding with DC. Not one is more darker than the other. They have their dark stories, each of them. And whoever says like one is very Disney, I mean, you're gonna tell me that the Teen Titans aren't fucking Disney as hell? Come on, guys. But just saying, like, she was really. And then I love doing this. I don't say I butcher anybody, but I did educate this little girl on all these Robins, that she loved every single Robin. She loved Batman, and I just threw all these numbers and things at her because obviously we have that picture of Hawkeye beating Batman, and she asked questions, and I said simply, you know, it came down to notable wins and losses. When you can lose to Harley Quinn, the holes in your game simply open up. And her friend was loving it. Her little friend was just loving me tear up her friend with knowledge about all that stuff. So hopefully we made a fan out of her. Hopefully she's listening. If that's something you guys want to talk about, go ahead and comment me on this, and we'll talk, because I don't really think DC is darker than Marvel at all. And I don't think Marvel's darker than DC. It's just that you haven't expanded enough into the Marvel universe to see what is dark. Read some Max comics. Read when the Blob ate the Wasp, and Hank Pym came back just to see that happening, and Hank Pym grabbed the Blob, grew huge, grabbed the Blob, bit his head off, and ate that too. You know, went crazy. The whole Avengers had to stop him, like, you know, just had to restrain him. It was a fucking bloody, brutal bloodbath. So don't tell me for a second that Marvel's not dark. They will go there with it. So, yeah, but back to the subject at hand, like, now that I was able to say that. Well, so what we did was when all of this was all said and done, and when it was all over and everything, we were able to settle down and watch a few shows. So this episode is in tribute to Stan Lee and his legacy, and well, we would like to start it off with a very nice story that April had come across, and I would like her to share it with us, if that's okay.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, Stanley passed away a week ago today. We were hit with the loss of Stanley, a big impact in a lot of people's lives, a big inspiration. And we wanted to just kind of share our personal experiences and put more of a tribute, a legacy, help add to his legacy.
And also shine a light on those who helped with his legacy as well.
Yes, definitely create the legacy of Marvel, which has been, like I said, a huge inspiration to so many. So I was on Reddit the day after he passed away, and someone had told a story about when they were a child. When they were a child, they went to their comic book store and they wanted to get they said that was the annuals, but I'm guessing it's like modern graphic novels.
I see.
And they didn't have them at the store. So he wrote to Marvel asking if he could buy them. He sent them his money and everything, and they wrote him back and told them that they didn't have that service available yet, and it wouldn't be for a couple of months still. And he was upset because he thought by that time they're going to be all sold out. And he wanted them, you know, and he was doing everything he could. He was just a kid. And
I know the feeling, though, collecting comic books and wanting to know what's going to happen and shit. Like, it's like, fuck, I want to know.
Or being a collector and wanting to have that, you know, issue. And
it means a lot, yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Yes, especially to kids, you know, like those things are important to them. As
Stories
adults,
and literature, yeah.
Adults forget how important those things can be to kids, you know, their favorite show or their, you know.
Yeah,
but
the character that they embody, or even like, yeah.
But their minds are still there, and it is important to them. It means the world to them. So Stan, I don't remember if the kid wrote to Stan Lee or if Stan Lee found out and wrote to the kid, but they got in contact, and Stan Lee gave him his money back and said, we should never reject someone's money who wants our product. And so he gave him his money back and sent him the annuals.
Nice.
Yes. And he, you know, told him how important it was that, you know, how important that fan was to him.
Yeah.
How much he meant to him.
And Stan Lee, doing like some research on him as well, like he was quite the reader himself. Like reading this memoir book about him. He would even read the catch-up labels, and his mom used to love to watch him read, and I guess that like motivated him a little bit more to just keep reading. He was even like advanced to higher classes, because of his reading comprehensive skills. And I think like when he was writing comics or when he was doing stories, he kept that in mind. He probably understood and related to the idea of reading for some is not the same for others. Some people like reading those books and everything, and some people like reading graphic novels as opposed to that. And for me, reading graphic novels helped me distinguish between proper writing and terrible grammar. You know what I mean? Like I can see the thug
graphic novels themselves.
Yeah, well, you can see like when the Punisher would
I see.
would go up to a gangster, you can see proper etiquette vocabulary from the Punisher speaking proper English, or just basic proper English, as opposed to the thug who's like speaking I ain't got no and doing so many double negatives. You can see like, okay, this is right and this is.
And the Punisher is who you want to be like, or the superheroes are who you
yeah,
want to be like.
mostly like the stern, the focused one. I mean,
so
you
don't want to be the one.
Yeah, even
like,
even if you see Spider-Man doing it, he speaks proper English. He's just fresh out of high school and stuff. His English is really good, and then when he talks to thugs, he can call it out, just because he talks so much shit. Which brings us to our mutant news. Now, I had read that Bill Maher, he had said something disrespectful in the light of Stan Lee's death and everything, and it was just like, now I know Bill Maher to be a very educated individual. Like I see him when he does go after people, he actually has an actual smart angle and a reason. Now he blames comic books for Trump being elected. He blames
comic books for Trump being elected?
Yeah, he blames Stan Lee and comics for Trump's election. The guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning. Mayer began deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Now I have nothing against comic books. I read them now and then, but when I was a kid and I was all out of Hardy Boys. But the assumption everyone had back then, both adults and kids, was that comics were for kids. And when you grew up, you moved on to big boy books without pictures.
That's really insulting, because that's implying that, I mean, I've been doing a lot of studying into symbols and stuff, and symbols and pictures are the first way of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they be any less meaningful than words?
And see, here's like I said, he's a well-educated individual. Like, he does research and everything. This was disrespectful. He reached, especially during the time of Stan Lee's death, he reached to like try and get some attention or something. And then belittle everybody else's profession, as if these, like I said, Stan Lee was a great reader. He loved to read, and he knew, even I know as an individual, it helps with reading comprehensive skills. It makes you a better reader. How does that help? It makes you a better student as a result. You get better grades. How is that strictly for children?
I feel like it's really rude too, because it's like comic books have a very meaningful impact on people's like moral systems and stuff, and they're a guide, almost like a light, and have a huge impact on not just kids' lives but adults' lives, and making them feel happy and fulfilled. Think of like Comic-Con and all of these events that bring joy and meaning to people's lives.
And I think he banked on like all the uptight book readers to take his side, but there's only so many of them. There's those book readers. Most of those book readers enjoy the graphic novels as well.
Yes, because there's tons of graphic novels that have made it on the Times bestseller list, number one on Times bestseller list.
And I feel like people who back, which I haven't really seen yet, but whoever back Bill Maher are those stuck up, like, I read the book type of people, and it's like, dude, whatever. But
and graphic novels can be, I mean, if he's coming from the stance like, oh, he's political, blah blah blah, graphic novels are incredibly political.
Yes.
Think of Watchmen. Watchmen was hugely
X-Men,
political.
which is my favorite one to bring up, like political wise, like. And I see a lot of supposed comic fans saying, I don't want politics in my comic books. Where do you think the popularity for your comic book reached? Like, there was some kind of political stance that someone took when they made the X-Men, when they made Daredevil, when they made, like, because of the impairment and stuff. And it was just, even even now today with the X-Men taking the stance not just on racial bigotry but now bigotry toward the LGBT community, and some of the people are starting to not like certain X-Men because of it, or certain characters because they're gay, because they think they're pushing on some sort of agenda. It's ridiculous.
It feels like video games, like when they tried to blame like all the violence on video games, but there's violence everywhere. People are abusive to their family, to their kids. Like you see video games, if anything, is an outlet for people to do it instead of doing it to actual people.
Yeah.
It's an outlet for that energy, at least, you know.
And that's what comics is an outlet for good people, though, with good energy, who just want nothing but a great story. And these writers deliver. I mean, Neil Gaiman is a guy who clapped back at Bill Maher, and it was nothing too, offensive. He was really well articulated in his comeback. So he just basically said, Maher's just trolling, and lots of people are rising to the troll. Julie Burchill did it better 30 years ago with her "there aren't any adult comics because adults don't read comics" line. More people cared about Stanley's death than care about Bill Maher alive. Damn.
Because Stanley was putting good energy out there, positive, helping people who didn't feel maybe like they liked those books. Just because someone reads books with pictures doesn't mean that those words are any less powerful or any...
And like I said, I've said it many times, Bill Maher is a well-educated human being. Like when he went after certain religious folks, he had a lot of good points and stuff. But the thing is that to me, he will always just represent that angry atheist who was just angry because he was fooled by religion, and then he imposes what he knows onto other people, what they don't know, make them feel bad, make them feel stupid for what they believe in, instead of transitioning into a, hey, that's what you want to believe, that's cool, you just don't make any rules about me, that's fine, but you have your religion, dog, whatever helps you. But he tears it down and tries, and like that's the angry atheist I will always, like I remember going through something similar like that, like not so much atheism but like not so much religious anymore, and being angry that I was fooled and lashing out at anybody who was religious and stuff like that, but then quickly got over that because I'd rather see people a little bit more happier in their life than just kind of tearing them down from this fucking what knowledge I think I know. But yeah, like that's how I see Bill Maher. He's just not only is he trolling, but he's also like he wants everybody to feel stupid for some reason. And it's like I said, this was a reach. He reached to disrespect, which I can't back. Like I don't like that. That's a Trump move on his part. If anybody's gonna dictate who and what is Trump, he's acting more like Trump, like blaming something that's so far out of the fucking water. You know what I mean? But that's what I just gotta say. I mean, when we went to Comic-Con, we got these books on psychology. I mean, like those were based on characters who were in comics, Daredevil, and like I know, isn't Game of Thrones a graphic novel as well?
They did a graphic novel version of it, yeah. I'm
sure it did really well and everything. But these are books on psychology. Yeah, they very much don't have lots of pictures, but you would not be interested in these characters if you had not read the comic books, like Daredevil and even Batman and X-Men. They have these psychology books on them. Like when we went, that woman had like a couple of them. She had Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. Remember that one? And it was about the difference of psychology towards like in Civil War and what they might have been going through. But moving on, Devil May Cry is a very fun video game that I have played like through and through. I've even played the reboot, and it's amazing. It's amazing storylines, amazing concept. Dante was on here last facing off against Blade, remember? Well, they're making a Netflix series in the same universe as Castlevania.
Right?
Yeah, as the same universe as Castlevania. So I guess I got to catch up on that because I want to see what the Devil May Cry brings to the table. In other news, we got Stan Lee's last cameo will be in Avengers 4. It will make us all cry. It would probably be a long cameo. And who knows what's going to happen after. Who knows, they're not going to CGI him in different cameos later on, but that would be his last live cameo.
The one that was actually recorded.
Yeah. Recently, I think the fires have been contained a lot, but...
in California.
Yeah, in California fires, they've been contained a lot, and, I hope all the help everybody needs out there, they get it. Help before prayers,
I've seen a lot of people, like I saw an account for someone who They had a GoFundMe up, and people were donating a lot of money to them. They were just, I need help for my family. We need to get back up on our feet, because I can't even imagine having everything except for what you can fit in your car taken away from you. But there are things that things your kids made for you, pictures, family albums, family heirlooms,
things that you can't get back. Even pets that they've left behind and stuff like that. Poor things,
Or old baby clothes that from your kids, or imagine if we had to up and out of here, there are just things that you can't replace. First issues of things that if you weren't able to get.
But I guess when you reflect on the fact that you're still alive after such an endeavor, that shit doesn't really matter. Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't matter. What matters should be the necessities, getting them clothes, getting them warm things to wear and stuff like that, because we don't know what they're going to endure. You're right, we don't know where they're going to go, so we need to open up our doors or whatever we can to these people and stuff. And then also the firefighters for doing a fucking heroic job.
I also
superhero job,
read that a lot of the prisoners are out there being
youth and what they are children out there volunteering. Some of them
getting paid only $1
a day.
And yeah, that's crazy.
Or an hour, you're right. But with taxes after it might as well be $1 a day.
It's crazy.
But the president, he has criticized our state for being mismanaged, mishandled, and everything.
When it comes to fire safety.
Yeah, and it's he says the money was possibly mismanaged and stuff like that, and before he can tell anybody else about mismanaging money, first he hasn't showed us what his taxes are, and if he's not paying taxes, he becomes a burden on the middle class. Second, our tax dollars are paying for about $70 million of golf trips for him and his family, or for wherever they need to go to. This is our money, that we need, and he's a billionaire already. We just made him richer. He's not spending any of the money that he has. He's spending our money, and so moving forward from
to refuse someone care that they need in a time of great crisis, when you're over here doing the same thing
and denying scientific fact about it, and not mathematic fact, not just numbers of deaths and tolls and all that stuff, but the fact that there is actual climate change and it's happening, and when you're not doing a goddamn thing about it. Now see, I want to compare it to the idea that Xavier, they all believe, humans and mutants alike, thought he was mismanaging these mutants, and they were supposedly this natural disaster, that these X-Men's, much like climate change, you got to do something about it. And Xavier's actually has the greatest result for society, and that's how I feel California is. You can criticize us all you want, but we really are the greatest progression result for society so far, or one of them, at least one of the many progressive states. And I don't think we're just being mismanaged. It's a force of nature, it's
natural disasters, because there are natural disasters that happen all over, hurricanes, tornadoes, and people do have insurance, and I'm sure those people had insurance for fire, because it is.
Wasn't there recently a flood too somewhere? And he's like, he didn't blame them for mismanagement, It's California specifically, I think, because he has a personal vendetta against us, much like Eric has a vendetta against Xavier, so that's how I feel like it. I wouldn't feel, as a lion, I wouldn't lose sleep over the opinions of a Trump sheep, And and that's it for Mutant News, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Please write to us and comment on what you guys think about this whole situation. Moving on to Delectable Collectibles. AP, you got a lot of cool stuff at Comic-Con.
I did, yeah.
Can you tell us a few things?
So for me, when we go to Comic-Con, I love to buy you can find me in Artist Alley all the time. That's where I like to see. Not
just looking at them, but you're talking to the artist. That's got to be one of your favorite parts about it.
Yes, because these are people just like Anthony and I who started. There's a song called "Story of an Artist." I can't remember who it's by right now, but Daniel Johnston. A song called "Story of an Artist" by Daniel Johnston. And it's a really beautiful song about this. He talks about how the artist is never supported by his family, and they always think, no one's going to like your ugly stuff, and pretty much along those lines. And so I think a lot of artists struggle with that journey, you know what I mean? Having to break through what other people don't see in their art. Mm-hmm. And so talking to the artist for me is very meaningful, because especially art that I like, because it's like they need that extra encouragement, Yeah. And so I got a couple of pieces. My favorite was an Avatar: The Last Airbender piece, and it was Aang.
Oh, that was so cool.
It's a mandala-esque, Japanese or Chinese, I'm not sure, Asian-looking piece. Mm-hmm. It's just beautiful. It's the symmetry of it, the symbolism in it. It's just so cool. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender and Aang, and that was amazing. And I also got a piece, Spirited Away piece, a watercolor Spirited Away piece.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
So beautiful. And I got that book from. I got the Game of Thrones book.
Oh yeah, the psychology book. Yes, I got one of Daredevil, and that woman, she sold me on it. She sold me on it because she said she did an interview. She was one of the people who were writing on the book. She knows a lot about sociology and psychology, as well as everybody. There was like 13 different professors on there, and one of the interviews was done by Stephen D. Knight, the director of Spartacus and first season of Daredevil. And I love that guy's work. I'm a huge fan, and like by connection to him, like I was like, wait, you talked to this guy, you know? And then if that wasn't enough, Liam McIntyre, the guy who plays Spartacus, lives only just down the street from her.
She so the books that she was promoting were these that they're, I'm sure you guys have seen them before, but they have like, they have psychology of Watchmen and psychology of like, so these are psychology of comic book heroes or sci-fi and fantasy characters as well. Like I said, I got a Game of Thrones one, which is super cool. A bunch of different essays about different situations, psychological situations. Like the one I was reading was called Psychopath, a young psychopath, I believe, and it had to do with Joffrey. And it's really interesting.
Oh yeah, and then it went on to what was the other one?
Ramsey?
Yeah, but he was something else.
Serial killer.
Serial killer.
A different essay, yeah. Uh-huh. So it's very interesting. And it's nice because the essays are only a couple pages long, so it's not like you feel like you have to read this big, huge book. And
yeah, it's actually because like the Daredevil one, it asks you those personal questions too. Like, well, what is it about these certain characters that makes us love them so much? These characters that are on the edge of good and bad that you don't really know.
So you can see why we'd be so into them, because it's like what we try to do here with Echoed Influence.
Yep.
We want to talk about the characters and how they mimic what happens in our lives, even as adults or children, as just as living situations that we come up upon.
Mm-hmm.
What did you get at Comic-Con?
I got myself okay, so we went to this, there was this what would you say, a THC friendly stand.
Yeah,
and they had, first we noticed that they had these dog treats for our dogs, and they get some, nice and faded. It's THC induced.
We did that because Shuri,
yes,
our little monster,
she's not having the best time. Like when we leave, she kind of will tear up everything out of anxiety, I believe. So
yeah, definitely.
These little weed snaps or whatever they're called, like they don't even like them, to be honest. We have to like trick them to eat it. Pumpkin's not their flavor. But we got that for them, and then it does help, by the way.
So when we leave, that way they won't like dig up the holes or jump on the tables
or fight each other.
Yes, and it makes things easier for us when we come back. At least we can be gone for only an hour or so, and it'll happen.
Yeah, we can go inside real quick and
Yes, yeah. And there you got a mug as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. I had bought this mug, and attached to it is a little bowl so you can smoke weed right after. I had it out here, but it's my new favorite coffee mug. I didn't even drink coffee till I got this thing, and I love it now. I also got my yearly mystery box, my Rick and Morty mystery box. I came with a Meeseeks beanie, a freaking another shot glass, another mug, a poster, a bobblehead of Birdman.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's about it. That's all I really got. I got a lot of comic books.
Oh yeah.
I got some like first editions of the Spider-Verse.
Graphic novels.
I got a couple graphic novels now at Comic-Cons. They have the best sales. They have like hardcover copies for $5. They had this one where they marked it down for $235 down to $40. It was the Infinity War whole thing. Guys, like Comic-Cons are at least this one is the shit, man. They have like some really good stuff. We saw a few guys there from Frankincense too.
Yeah.
That you just, hey man, you don't have these prices when we show up. What the fuck? And I'm a loyal customer.
So we want to continue our tribute to Stan Lee by recognizing some of the characters that probably were a part of him, or characters that
yeah, it seemed to be like just a piece of Stan Lee to
Yeah.
each, and it's like, he brought on Thor, he made the Hulk, he made Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, like all these great characters, and one of them, from one little memory that I have of Stan Lee, it was the if you ever seen Mallrats, he's talking to Jason Lee, and Jason Lee is all emotional from whatever, like his relationship, it's been flickering, and he gives him this insight on what he had when he made the Hulk. And the Hulk, he said, was basically a normal guy 1 minute, and then the next minute he's this raging ball of emotion. And basically he relates it to, like, every man is capable of being the Hulk, And I really like that about Stan Lee, that how these characters weren't just for you, they weren't just for him, they were for everybody to partake in and feel what it's like to be the Hulk. Everybody knows what it's like to be the Hulk, And one thing that I do respect about knowing about him is that he went forward with knowing that his characters didn't look normal to the normal standard of what a superhero was. They criticized it to the point where they thought his actual heroes looked more like villains. Like
you were saying, like Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine, or the X-Men in its
Harry.
entirety. Yeah, a bunch of ugly, like, mutant freaks that have these dangerous weapons for defense. And then you got, like, green, big, ugly Frankenstein Hulk, and then you got this freakish, like, Human Torch, and then you got Namor, who's just like, these weird.
He was giving people who felt not beautiful.
Yeah, like he was
place.
creating flaws inside of the power, which I kind of liked. Like Superman is a god, and that's like the perfect guy, and I really like it when someone who was born not perfect and not that takes down a guy like that, because it seems like he's earned it. And a guy like the Hulk is that guy. He's not a traditional pretty boy with a cape, and this perfect guy. He's flawed. He's a flawed guy, and with your flaws comes that hardship that probably Superman will never understand. And when that hardship comes, when it comes down to it, and they're going bone for bone, that hardship's going to help Hulk go a little bit further, I believe, in that aspect. So that's what I think Stan Lee was going for. And his beloved Spider-Man, Stan Lee's beloved Spider-Man, he was a guy that I truly related to, and he.
I think every
That's
male probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't. These characters are not just for us; they're for everybody. Everybody knows who's not rich knows what it's like to be Spider-Man. It's opposed to Bruce Wayne.
Isn't that something though? Like, I'm sure when Stan Lee created Spider-Man, he had this idea of what he was, but over time, it's just he's become his own entity, Spider-Man, like out of Stan Lee's hands.
And he grew up, like, he gave him life.
Yes.
And Spider-Man has experienced, like, a lot of loss, like a lot of grief and overcoming and stuff like that. And I think that's what Stan Lee wanted to embody. I mean,
he's not perfect, but always striving to be better.
Back to the crisscross between like Spider-Man and Batman. Like, I think Spider-Man is an opposite to Batman as far as, like, lifestyle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? He's a playboy, a philanthropist, doesn't have to worry about working a day in his life, but Spider-Man does.
Every day has to hustle.
Yeah, and then pay bills, worry about things that Bruce Wayne never will. Because Bruce and
making his own breakfast.
Yeah, something like that. And then so, like, Spider-Man has that, plus actually taking care of the world or his city. See, and that's what I think makes him better than Batman, is that Batman just has this to worry about, and he still can't fucking do it right. He still fucks up way more than Spider-Man does. But I think as a hero, Spider-Man is better. Is a better hero.
Yeah, but I'm sure for Stan Lee it was a big, especially he was pretty young when he created him. So I'm sure for him it was like an outlet to look. I'm trying my best to be my best, but I'm gonna mess up because I'm just a young boy still and have a lot to learn.
So for right now, that's it for our characters. Please write to us and let us know what you guys think. What characters we didn't bring up for Stan Lee's beloveds. So we're moving on to counseling with comic book couples. Now, we have a letter here. It's not really asking for advice. It's just giving us an update that we might need. And so here we go. It says, "Dear Echoed Influence, my husband finally returns to me. I know it's only been a year and some change, but the look on his face, the look of accomplishment. He adored his fans so much and tells me he plans to continue making universes. To be reunited with my husband was all I wanted, no matter what universe. I hope this update brought closure to those who cared about him. Joan B. Lee." So that was a nice little. That was just our tribute to Stan Lee, and personally, I believe that I can't say for certain what's gonna happen after. I usually am concerned for those who die because but Stan Lee, for some reason I know he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's all right. He's in a place, and he's in a universe that he easily created or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With his wife and stuff. So, or wherever, so. I feel, for some reason, I feel very optimistic. I feel saddened from his loss, but I feel very happy and optimistic for his eternal life.
Like my view on death has changed a lot in the past years, and I, instead of feeling sad, I feel like we have to be appreciative of the fact that we even had that time with whoever we lost.
Mm-hmm.
We could have just as easily
Can't waste no time mourning.
Be happy that they were there, and for me, I think it's important to carry on a little piece of them to keep them alive always. So if you miss that person, and if say Stan Lee,
Mm-hmm.
then carry a piece of them on. What about him inspired you or made you happy or made you feel good, and then take that and continue it, and then he'll be alive forever that way.
Well, Marvel seems to be like, it's that entity, it's going to be alive forever. It's gonna,
legacy.
Yeah. Could you give us a little breakdown on
So let's go
Marvel
over,
legacy?
Let's go over a little bit of the beginnings of Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
how Marvel came to be. Which so at the beginning it was created by someone named Martin Goodman, and he was the head of Timely Publications, and they did mostly like Western pulp type comics and stuff. Later that year is when they came out with their first actual labeled Marvel comic #1, and that was for Human Torch and Namor. They were the first two that showed up in that
the
one.
Submariner.
And later that year, Stan Lee was hired as an assistant. That was in 1939. And already working there was Joe Simon, an editor, writer, and artist, and Jack Kirby,
who was also an artist and creator, right?
Yes, and
Jack Kirby.
Yes, Jack Kirby, amazing.
And that guy heavily attributed to Stan Lee's legacy, I believe,
To
too.
their universe,
both of one didn't work without the other.
And also, I believe Steve Ditko, right? He's
Yeah.
a huge contributor to the
yeah,
Marvel.
animator or illustrator and everything too. Yeah, I just speaking of Jack Kirby, I really loved his style and everything like that, and the combination of Stan Lee's universe and his universe, which Kirby was not even on this planet, man. He was writing about the Eternals and stuff like that when Stan Lee was writing about like Spider-Man and shit. So the universe has expanded so far. It was an amazing thing to see. Also a sad thing to see break up. I wasn't there to see it,
But I mean, it was because of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, they created the beginnings, the foundations of a legacy that was only added on to and contributed by tons of people.
Yes, an unbreakable
Tons
foundation
of
that could
people.
hold so much,
Yes.
so much.
Imagination.
Yes.
So later in 1941, Stan Lee became the interim editor, the editor-in-chief. And he took that role for years and years. I mean, he only was not doing it for, I think, a couple of years when he went to war. When he had to join the military, and then came back and went right back to it and was editor-in-chief again.
So for all those who say that our heroes should just only be, freaking military vets or whatever, there you go. Leave us alone. Let us have our characters.
And it wasn't, so there came a point, though, I forget, I think in 1961. 1961, Stan Lee was kind of tired of the whole comic book industry and was kind of ready to give up, and he was going to leave and go do something else. And he was talking to his wife, and she encouraged him to try, then just to go crazy, since you're going to leave and you're going to go do something else, might as well try
Go all
something
out,
different. And that is when he decided to make comic books aimed at adults as well as children. And that revolutionized the whole industry because it opened it up so much wider. And that's when he came out with Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, like you were saying, like the average Joe, something that every male can relate to, not just kids, not just little boys, but adult men who are, like you said, struggling to pay their bills and be a good guy on top of it all, with all the anger and rage and trying to fight off the evils of the world, So Stan Lee was a huge influence into what our comic books are today,
And a very nice tribute to Marvel as well as Stan Lee and everything.
and all the creators. And
So now we're gonna move on to EI recommends. Now we've been watching a lot of shows, like I said, and Daredevil was one of those of season 3, and man, that was an intense ride. Bullseye and Kingpin. There was like a 3-way fight between them, and it was like such incredible symbolism in all of that. Like all of them contradicted each other's fighting style, and it just came down to the grittiest, and it was amazing.
And then mentally, something we talk about with Daredevil all the time, of course, is he's the anti-hero, kind of, you know. He believes, not like, I feel like he's more okay with killing. He's more okay with death, and he wants to look at villains as so terrible because they kill people, but he needs to take a minute to reflect.
There is an actual balance that he has. Like you said, it's like he doesn't mind the death. You know, he doesn't. His mind and his soul won't be lost if he kills somebody. Unlike another Cape Crusader that I know, but he is virtuous enough to see the difference, which it's hard to give any human that kind of credit, and that's why they're heroes. You know, that's why they're super. That's why they're above average. One thing that we also have been watching is Hell on Wheels. Avy, what do you think of Hell on Wheels?
It's good. It's really interesting to see life back in the days, and to understand that honestly that what they're going through isn't really much different than what we're going through. It's just a different
it's corruption
time,
and shit like that, and moving a mass amount of people. It's based on the railroads in the 1800s. I believe it was post Lincoln's death and post Civil War, and Cullen Bohannon. Like I watched it at least 3 times over, or no, at least twice with AP now. And watching it, I think of it like an old western of The Punisher. Basically, the guy's going after the people who killed his family, and he's a fucking gunslinger, and no one can really fuck with this guy, and it's amazing. It's a really good show. You guys should give it a chance. If you guys end up giving it a chance, please let us know what you think. We can reminisce about it. We know a lot about Mr. Bohannon. And The Last Kingdom comes out today. We're going to catch up on that today. If you guys haven't seen The Last Kingdom, Uhtred the Godless is a bad motherfucker too. If you guys like Game of Thrones and those kind of shows, you guys would like Vikings, you would love this show. And one thing that each of us read from Comic-Con was Soldier Supreme. AP, what did you think of Soldier Supreme?
That was so cool.
It was awesome, right?
Oh, Soldier Supreme was super awesome. That was the Cap?
Yeah, Cap. It was Steven Rogers.
Yeah. Steven Rogers,
So it was perfect. It was like he was injected with like some like magic, and that's what made him this big, imposing being. And not only did he grow to be big and strong, he also possessed magic without, like, physical magic without having to summon it, you know what I mean? And that made him really cool, like made it real strong. Like the first thing he created was a shield with a star in it. It looks like a pentagram star, but it has the Captain America colors around it. It's so freaking cool, guys.
It's really cool.
It's you're gonna look at the merging of it. There's a lot of other mergers, like Thor and Tony Stark. They make Iron Hammer and Moon Knight and Spider-Man. It's a Arachnite, and there's a couple other like where they combine these guys. It's a really awesome little take on it, and it's Secret Wars, I believe, Infinity Wars, and that's our EI recommends for this week. Now we're gonna move on to the fantastical fan favorite Rumble. Today we have a DC character, very powerful, awesome, one of my favorites, Trigon. Trigon's basically like this intergalactic demon. To me, he's the devil. He's the Lucifer, ruler of the underworld, created evil, and he can pass it on to his children, this massive amount of power. And he's a manipulator of energy and reality, and he's a teleporter, the good stuff, right? And on the opposite side, we have Stan Lee's Galactus, who has the power of cosmic. He actually can teleport, manipulate reality. He can, he doesn't have, the difference between him and Trigon is that he doesn't have to have children to pass on that power. He can literally pass it on to anybody he wants. So that's why he has heralds like Firestorm and Silver Surfer and the Seeker, and all those guys have that power the power of cosmic, which is to change reality. Galactus is capable of devouring worlds, universes. Um, I think the one difference, Galactus ends up becoming, instead of the devourer of planets, he becomes the bringer of life.
Hmm.
Turns all yellow, and so I believe you're basically, when you get the peak Galactus versus the peak Trigon, you got one fighting for life, one fighting for death. I always go for life, and not just that. Guys who are always fighting for life seem to have more honor, and they do it and they make it happen. But Trigon, I don't think I haven't seen many people defeat him. I've seen like Raven beat him, which is a big hole in his game.
What is his power exactly?
Who, Trigon?
Yeah.
He has unlimited amounts of power. He's basically a god. Like he can, like I said, he can manipulate reality, and he has demonic energy possession power.
I see. So how do you see the fight going between them?
I see Trigon more of like a spell caster, and I see Galactus as more as just this cosmic entity that is, and he can use. He doesn't have to summon it. It's his. He possesses it. It's his power, and it's who he is. He's a celestial.
I see. Whereas Trigon is calling upon it.
Yes, he has to summon it from various energies.
Galactus is just pulling it from within.
Within who he is, self-made, and giving. And the thing is that Trigon can possess people with like demonic possession, but they're possessed by him. Galactus can give his power to many people and fight too. So from what you hear about that, who do you got?
I mean,
it's pretty stacked, huh? It's pretty even.
I'm trying to just imagine how the fight itself would play out. Like how one would beat the other, and honestly the only thing I think is Galactus, because I just like the idea that he's self-made and has the energy within, and so if he has the energy within, that means he can always call on it, where Trigon, for whatever reason, might lose the connection to call upon it, and could lose that way. So that's my
okay. I gotta go with Galactus too, just because his power is able to be transferable upon his will, and he doesn't lose any of it. I think, like I said, I think Raven subduing her father or scaring him away from the planet Earth brings a huge hole in his game, because I mean Galactus has lost to Thanos, and I mean that's guys he loses to. So I would give it to Galactus on this one. If anybody has anything to say about that, you can hit us up and hit us up with some facts. All right, guys. And before we go, we wanted to let you guys know that I'm offering training as far as MMA, fitness training, and now weapon training. If you also have a kid who wants to learn a new sport or maintain a sport he already has, because if you train in my Ludus during the off season, it'll keep you ready for whatever sport you're doing.
And it's perfect because winter break is coming up. Kids are going to have a lot of time on their hands. They're not going to be at school. They're going to have a lot of energy, and this is a perfect opportunity to get them in shape, keep them busy, keep them out of your hair for a bit.
And it doesn't matter what, like, I mean, 6 and up, but it doesn't matter like what age you guys could come down. If you're an adult and you want to come down, feel free. If you have kids, bring them. The youngest I can train is 6 years old.
And like you said, so he does fitness training too. So I've been working out with him, and I'm just doing the beginning portions where it's just working out, doing drills, preparing my body. And if you're like worried or nervous about the wrestling aspect of it, you don't even have to stay for that. You can just do the fitness portion of it.
Do the first portion of it, and you get well aware of your own body weight, and you will build confidence from when you see what your body can actually do, and what your own personal drive.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yes, lots of fun, guys.
And so now he has the beginning class. So if you're a beginner, you want to come out and hit him up. The advanced wrestling, and then like you said, the weaponry class, which is super cool.
I hope that one's going to be the most fun for people. I've been doing the weapons fighting for many years now, and it's about time I started teaching other people how to do it.
So if you're interested, and you don't have to do the wrestling or the boxing portion of the class. This is a totally different class, just weapon fighting. So if you've ever been interested in that as a kid, always wanted to get into it, this is the perfect opportunity.
This is it, you guys.
Yes, yeah.
I also offer the massage therapy through Hands of Apollo, Massage 42. Look me up, guys. yeah, I
Great massage. He did a hot stone for me after their hectic
yeah.
week.
Now that the winter's coming too, hot stone's
Yes.
probably one of the better massages.
He did a hot stone for me, and it's funny because he was practicing, getting some practice in, and he was like, I feel like I took forever, and I was like, huh, what? I fell asleep the whole time. That was the most. I'm telling you, as soon as I got off the table, I was like, it felt like dizzy, like
Floating.
Yeah, like not dizzy in a bad way, but like whoa, like like my body was so relaxed that when it got back up, it was like, huh, what? Who?
Who da?
Yeah.
Who da?
So seriously, if you want and this is the perfect time right now too with the holiday stress, and it is a great gift. We do gift cards, gift certificates as well.
And through the whole month of November, every sunset at 5 p.m., I do half price massages, especially for those people. I know you ladies are going to be cooking, or it's going to be a hard week and shopping, Black Friday.
Stress.
I am here to help you guys. I'm here to help anybody. You play video games, I'll help you.
And he also has the spa treatment too. So if you're interested in that, it comes with a glass of wine. It comes with a foot massage.
Foot spa massage, yeah.
Yes, you get to put your feet in the nice little tub. And
the jets and everything. It's a real nice little environment. AB, you have some things that you can offer.
Oh yeah. So just recently,
I'm gonna cut that out.
Recently, I've also been putting a lot of effort into my young mystic, so I created an Etsy with different readings I offer. I do like dream interpretation readings.
Birthday readings.
And I got my bachelor's in psychology, and I've been a long-time student of spirituality, symbolism of psychology, philosophy. So I'm a constant student, constantly learning. Dreams, I have a lot of background in that kind of stuff. So if you need a dream interpretation, or you just need some advice, or you need some guidance, hit up my Etsy. I also have my sun moon mandalas up on there, and I'm in the works to create some symbols, some protective symbol stickers to place along your laptops, on your water bottles, on your notebooks, on your whatever, in your car.
Whatever,
Just to help with different things. But I'll be coming out with it hopefully this week. We also have our art swap meet this Friday at Smith Park at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, guys, come and switch some art with us if you guys want one of those paintings.
Because Christmas is coming soon, and as much as we love to, I'm sure our family eventually gets tired of the stuff we make for them and might want something a little different, but we still like to make our stuff, and other people might appreciate it. So come swap art for presents.
Yeah.
It's a great way to, I don't want to say cheap, but like, it's a great way to
get ahead on of your shopping at
and
least.
some unique gifts too, things you
one
won't
of a
get.
Kind things.
Yeah. So come on out at the park. We'll bring our blankets and stuff. We'll have a little picnic style hangout together.
Nice. Well, that's it for Echoed Influence, guys. Thank you so much for joining us with this tribute to Stan Lee. We'll be back in 2 weeks, next Monday, with another episode. And during these 2 weeks, we'll be doing some fun stuff, getting things ready for you guys.
Follow us on all of our accounts. Follow me on Modest Betty, Home Gallery, Young Mystic, of course, Echoed Influence.
Yes.
And then follow Anthony on...
follow me too at 109 BC _Spartacus. Also on my the Ludus _Ludus 42, and then I got Hands of Apollo Massage 42. Our tags will be in the description as well if you guys want to follow us.
Before we go, I just wanted to thank you guys for sticking in with us. I know we've been a little spotty and we've done a lot of experimenting, but we love Echoed Influence and we love you guys, and we're not going to quit. And
we're not going anywhere, guys.
We just sometimes we need a little time to build our other...
Yeah, with the holidays coming up, we're working our hustle and everything. And, like we said, we're working on things for you guys as well. So please keep in touch, and please be on the lookout for all of our upcoming information. Thank you guys for joining us, and have a beautiful week, guys. Peace. Stop it. Stop it.
Stop it now.